Happy Labor Day, folks. Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for September 5th, 2016. I'm Graham GSM Matthews on the premiere episode in the month of September and what might be the final long-form episode of #AskGSM for a while, just because I go back to school tomorrow. And starting next Monday, I have no idea what the schedule for the show will be in terms of how long it'll be. I know in past years for my school semester, sometimes it would be 15 minutes, sometimes it would be 40 minutes, sometimes it's almost an hour. So it really all depends what my class schedule is and so on and so forth. We'll find out next week, but I promise you I will continue to do the show regardless of whether it goes up on Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever. You guys' questions are always great. This week is no exception. So that being said, if you want to send in a question, be sure to tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. On Facebook as well at facebook.com/gram.gsm.matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights or on the wall itself, or right here on this very video, drop a comment down below, and I'll be sure to include your question in next week's edition. So that being said, special Labor Day edition here today. Hope you guys are having a great holiday, and if not, just a great Monday, I guess. But anyway, we'll kick it off with Mr. Beetle 890 from YouTube. It's looking pretty obvious that a Rollins versus Triple H match will happen soon. Do you think it'll be at Survivor Series, or will they hold off till a future Big Four pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble or even WrestleMania? So I talked all about this, cheap plug real quick, with Randy Cruz last Wednesday, I believe, or Thursday. Pretty sure it was Wednesday, on the Cruise Control podcast. So check out my Twitter. I retweeted a bunch of times, or his Twitter at Randy J. Cruz. We talked all about this last week. He asked me the same question, and I said, I hope they hold off to WrestleMania. I honestly don't think they will. I think they might get cold feet and do it earlier. If they do it at Clash of Champions, which you know they probably won't, it would be the dumbest thing they could possibly do. But it looks like we are getting Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at that show, thank God. But I wouldn't even do it at Survivor Series. I mean, I hate to say it, honestly, like it is a Big Four pay-per-view, and I use quotation marks there, just because it hasn't felt like a Big Four pay-per-view in a long-ass time. The only time in the last 5 years since Rock came back for the 2011 installment, even before that, 09 sucked, 2010 sucked, the 2011 show I thought was really good, 2012 sucked, 2013 was one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. John can attest to that. We watched it together at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I know someone else who went to that show and can also say that show is horrible. I almost went to that show, by the way, but 2014 was the last real installment. 2015 sucked too. 2014 was the last time that show felt special, and the overall show really wasn't that great. It was just Sting coming back in the main event, that awesome 5-on-5 Team WWE versus Team Authority main event. Other than that, Survivor Series has been an afterthought for the better part of the last 10 years, if not more than that. So, that being said, I would not do it at Survivor Series. I know they held off on Daniel Bryan versus, Triple H 3 years ago. They started that feud at SummerSlam and they held off till WrestleMania. But the original plan was to never to do it at WrestleMania. The original plan was to never do it at all. Because the original plan, obviously, was to do CM Punk versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. And Daniel Bryan was going to be facing fucking Sheamus or something on second or third on the card or whatever it was. So anyway, I don't think they'll do that with Seth Rollins and Triple H. I don't think Rollins' time in the main event scene obviously is short-lived. He's a certified main event player. They have faith in him, unlike they did Daniel Bryan in the beginning of his main event run years ago. That being said, they could always do the match at the Rumble. Again, I would just hold off till WrestleMania. I think that was the original match they were going to do, that they had penciled in for WrestleMania 32 before Rollins got hurt. So, it makes perfect sense. I wrote a whole article about it many months ago, back in like fucking June or something, about why a Triple H versus Seth Rollins feud makes sense. And yeah, I would just wait until WrestleMania. I see no real need to do it before then. That being said, I could very well see them doing it at a B-level pay-per-view or even at the Rumble, which wouldn't be the worst thing, but again, then what do you do with Rollins at WrestleMania? If he's not facing like AJ Styles in an interpromotional matchup, I guess you could do Rollins and Balor too, but I think Triple H and Rollins has so much more history. This feud goes back fucking years, dude. Like almost 2 to 3 years these guys, have roots back to. So why would you waste that at Survivor Series or even the Rumble? I would wait off, and I would hold off until WrestleMania, personally. Who do you see beating The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship? Hopefully not Dolph Ziggler. Hopefully not this Sunday at Backlash. I like Ziggler, but been there, done that, dude. We've been there and done that. Miz is on the roll of his career right now. There's no real need to put the championship on anyone but Miz right now. I would have said Apollo Crews, but that feud looked like it was only a few weeks long. They cut that short after SummerSlam, and that was it. They're moving forward right into Dolph Ziggler, so that's that, I guess. But, yeah, beyond that, beyond Dolph Ziggler, again, Crews, maybe at some point down the line. Kalisto, maybe. I just don't really care that much about Kalisto at this point to really see him be the one to take the title off Miz. I really don't know, which is why I said keep the belt on Miz for the next year until he breaks the Honky Tonk Man's record as the longest reigning IC champion of all time. Why not? There's no real competition on SmackDown. He's already beaten Cruz. He's already beaten Zack Ryder, Darren Young, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, all these others. So why would you bother having him drop the championship just for the sake of dropping the title? Maybe you can never put it past this company. They could very well cut Miz's momentum short on Sunday by having him drop the strap to Ziggler. And Ziggler just lost the WWE title match, so why would you put him right back? It just makes no sense. I like Ziggler. I just can't bring myself to care about Dolph Ziggler enough, especially as IC champion. He's been a good IC champion in the past, but Miz is doing the best goddamn work of his career right now, so why the hell would you cut that short? Does the Kurt Hawkins fact gimmick have potential? I think it does, but knowing the WWE, the execution will be poor. I think so. I feel like they're just bringing him... I'm surprised they're bringing him back with vignettes, to be honest with you, just because I feel like they're going to bring him in just to be the Jinder Mahal of SmackDown, which is not a bad thing. I think Kurt Hawkins is infinitely more interesting, goes without saying, than fucking Jinder Mahal. I could not give two shits about. But I think Hawkins, he's not going to be like an IC level guy or something. He could be, but I don't think he will be. They just merely brought him back to job for the rest of the roster, which again isn't the worst thing, but if they have him doing if they have him serve as an enhancement talent doing this gimmick, which is kind of like the whole Chuck Norris thing from 10 years ago, I'm fine with that because I think Kurt Hawkins he's a great wrestler. He can be very entertaining. He was never really given a true shot on his own many years ago after they broke him up with Vance Archer and Tyler Rex and Zack Ryder and everyone else he teamed with back in the day. But I think it could have potential, yeah. But like you said, knowing the WWE, the execution could very well be poor. Who knows? Next question from the first KFC from YouTube as well. How much potential does Steve Cutler have? Should he use his military background for character development and a way for fans to rally behind him? I don't know, man. I'm always on the fence about that kind of thing because I feel like it's just like garnering sympathy just for the sake of garnering sympathy. Like, look at the guy from TNA who did not last long at all. Not that he was horrible, but the one-legged dude, Chris Melendez. They brought him in with a ton of buzz. Oh, we're signing this one-legged soldier. Like, good for you. That's great. They got a lot of buzz out of a lot of mainstream publicity for, like, what, a month? A couple weeks? They did nothing with the guy. He was there for, like, a year before they cut him. Yeah, I don't think he left. I'm pretty sure they fired him. So what the hell was the point? You know what I mean? I know that's TNA. This is WWE, but I don't know. I feel like the whole military thing, just for the sake of kind of, I mean, I guess you can because you should be a version of yourself just turned up to an 11. I guess it would give him something to do. So maybe I'm not traditionally a fan of that kind of thing, but then again, the guy's generic as hell. I don't mind him. I think he had a decent match last week against Kenneth Crawford in NXT, and I'm very happy to see NXT pushing new talent and new fresh faces. That's great. But just so far, he's just not doing anything for me. It's been one match, but I think we need to hear from the guy, need to see some vignettes on him or something, because so far I can just not bring myself to care about him because there's nothing about him that screams special. You know what I mean? So far, it comes off like a creative wrestler from the WWE video games. Something that I would create, the job to like John Cena or something in the video game, you know what I mean? So hopefully they give him some more character development over time. I do like how they're pushing new faces, though. We'll talk about them more later on. Someone else asked a question about that later on in the video. Should Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson leave WWE and go back to Japan? I don't think so. I don't think they've been booked horribly. They're not being booked well. I mean, the whole New Day feud has been a bust. The feud itself is not funny. I don't laugh at the comedy. Maybe that's just me, but the whole balls joke thing got old one weekend. The match at SummerSlam was not really anything noteworthy at all. They've lost. They won at SummerSlam. They didn't win the titles. Carl Anderson jobbed to Big E the next night on Raw, and they lost the New Day in a six-man tag team match or six-person tag team match with Dana Brooke and Bayley last week on Raw. So why the hell should I see these guys as threats to the titles? You know what I mean? It just feels like it's ass backwards. Ever since they broke up from AJ Styles and they broke up the club, it really feels like they do not know how to handle Anderson and Gallows on their own, which is a shame even before they joined up with AJ Styles. Remember when they were jobbing the fucking Usos every week? It's like they were doing the whole 50-50 booking with these guys, and they didn't get over because of it. They came in with a lot of buzz when they attacked the Usos out of nowhere. That was a great debut. Like, they came out of the crowd. It was awesome. But it's been all downhill from there. It's only been a few months. I wouldn't say, just up and leave because you haven't been booked amazingly. I think you just got to give it time. And I think there's more of a chance they could get a run with the championships when there's two different brands and there's two sets of tag team titles. But so far, it's just been disappointing to say the least. Emmanuel A. also from YouTube. Should Shawn Michaels have won the European Championship? It's important to mention, I mean, I think he's talking about One Night Only 97 here, which I reviewed on Wrestle Rant Plug over the weekend, but again, his question was, should Shawn Michaels have won the European Championship? It's important to mention Davey Boy Smith, a.k.a. the British Bulldog, promised that he was retaining against Shawn at One Night Only and dedicated the match to his sister who had cancer. He found out later that Shawn had switched the finish to a title change with a post-match beatdown. Interestingly, Shawn defended himself in his Shawn Michaels My Journey 2010 DVD by saying he wanted to do something different in the way the crowd booed his win and threw trash at him and validated it at the end. Yeah, no, I would have just had Bulldog win. I felt like that was kind of a mind-boggling move. I mean, like you said, I mean, he got great heat for it, but I feel like that's just Shawn being Shawn, in the fact that that was his reasoning for it, that's just making up an excuse for why he felt like it was a good move. Why not just go with the feel-good moment of Bulldog winning and retaining the title in his home country, whatever. I just feel like it didn't really make much sense to have Shawn Michaels win a title that he really had no business holding in a country that he did not call his own against a hometown hero. It's like you're fucking the fans out of a feel-good finish. I could see why Michaels would say that. Understand why he's saying it, but I can even understand his reasoning in that he felt like it got him great mega heat. I don't know. It's not like you're really making a heel out of Shawn Michaels. By that point, he was already one of the top heels in the company, aligned with D-Generation X. You know what I mean? So I really didn't feel like it accomplished anything other than getting more heat and title gold on Shawn Michaels. So yeah, I felt like going with Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, whatever, as the winner in that match, and obviously having him dedicate the match to his sister who had cancer, only to have him lose, was a very mind-boggling decision. Mitch G, also from YouTube, which looks the most impactful in your opinion? Luke Harper's discus clothesline, Sienna's the silencer, or Rhino's gore? Sienna's silencer, that doesn't look all that impactful to me. Whatever she does, is that like is the silencer the pounce she does? I know she does like the big ending, or whatever the hell it's called. I'm pretty sure that's the AK-47. I think the silencer is the pounce. And that looks fucking awful. Especially compared to when Marcus Corvan used to do it, who was the man at doing the pounce. Sienna sucks. I'm sorry. It does not look impactful at all. Harper's discus clothesline does look impactful, but I don't think anything will top Rhino's gore. That still to this day, the guy's in his 40s or even 50s, I don't know, and it still looks like it would cut you in half. So I gotta go with Rhino's gore here. Out of these teams, who should have held the tag team championships? Team Rhodes Scholars, the Real Americans, or the Gate Crashers, which were Kurt Hawkins and Vance Archer? Out of those three teams, that's a good question. I really like the Real Americans. Could not really all care that less about Kurt Hawkins and Vance Archer. They were a good team, but compared to Rhodes Scholars and Real Americans, there was no comparison. But of those three teams, I gotta give it to Team Rhodes Scholars. I think the Real Americans were great, but Team Rhodes Scholars had that it factor about them. They went for the belts like fucking half a dozen times, and they lost every single time. It made no sense to me. I understand why they wanted to keep the belts on Team Hell No in the long term, but then why the hell would you keep on giving shot after shot after shot to these guys? They got title shots at Hell in a Cell, the Royal Rumble, right after TLC, on Raw, main event. Like I said, they got 4 or 5 title shots, and they lost every single time. They were never able to win the tag team titles, which, again, I thought was just so stupid because I thought they were such a great tag team. And yes, they ended up breaking up down the line anyway, which would have happened regardless. But I think it would have meant more if they had to run the tag team championships first. And Team Hell No were great, but I felt like Team Rhodes Scholars, at that point in time when they were going for the gold, were the hotter tag team. And Team Hell No did not need the tag team titles at that point. Daniel Bryan was already breaking out as this breakout singles star. He didn't really need the tag team titles by that point. Maybe in the beginning, in the fall of 2012, but beyond that, in early 2013, I really thought they missed the boat on not putting the belts on Team Rhodes Scholars. Like I said, the Real Americans were great, but I thought Team Rhodes Scholars really should have been, on several different occasions, the tag team champions. His next question, I thought John Morrison should have won the Elimination Chamber match back in 2011 and faced The Miz at WrestleMania 27. Given the history between him and Miz, it's only naturally right? It's only natural, right? He says, if anything else, it would make the card less abysmal. I know they had that match on Raw, the Falls Count Anywhere match, the first Raw of the year, which was a great match, probably one of the best matches Miz has ever had in his career. Literally the first match in WWE in 2011, on January 4th or 3rd, I think, January 3rd, 2011, in a really, really good match. And that was it. John Morrison's main event push was pretty much over at that point. He got that big win over Sheamus, which I'm pretty sure you've asked me about in the past too, at TLC in 2010. And then they just cut his push short for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like you said, he was in the Elimination Chamber match. He got that great spot in the Royal Rumble when he did the whole jumping on the barricade and getting back in the ring. That was awesome. But it led nowhere. The guy was in a fucking random-ass 6-person tag team match at WrestleMania with Snooki. You know what I mean? They didn't push him after that. I mean, he was in the main event of Extreme Rules, but only to further his feud with R-Truth. Never was he ever a shot. And never was he ever a real threat to the WWE Championship, let's face it. But, yeah, I would have done... I don't know. I guess, I mean, the match really should have been WrestleMania 27, CM Punk versus John Cena. I mean, it all ended up working out in the end anyway, with Punk and Cena in the summer of 2011, so I can't really complain. But even at that point, Miz, as good as he was not the top heel on Raw. That was definitely CM Punk. So I wouldn't even have done Morrison versus Miz. I would have just done, I would have just done John Cena and CM Punk. But I guess you could still do Morrison and Miz, not for the WWE Championship. I mean, I don't know. You couldn't have done Morrison and Miz as a WrestleMania main event, because if you think about it, really, even now, that was 2011. Even now, WWE, despite the fresh faces they've had in the main event scene, in the main event of WrestleMania in recent years, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, all of them have been accompanied by a part-timer, whether it be Brock Lesnar, Triple H, The Rock, all the Batista, all these different guys they have to put in the main event slot to kind of WrestleMania to sell people on the main event of the show. It's great they're having fresh faces, but I'm waiting for the day they have two up-and-coming guys who are not 15-year veterans in the business, that aren't John Cena, that aren't Brock Lesnar, The Rock, Triple H, Batista, Big Show, who the fuck it is, that doesn't matter. I'm waiting for a day where we can get a fresh main event one-on-one, and it's been a long-ass time. I couldn't tell you the last time that was the case. Honestly, I mean, you go back years, even beyond that. WrestleMania 27, I know it was Cena and Miz, but you still had The Rock involved. 26, Shawn Michaels and Taker. 25, Triple H established versus Randy Orton established. 24, Orton, Triple H, or no, it was Edge and Undertaker established. 23, it was Cena and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels established. You know what I mean? It goes back many, many years. So regardless, I know that's kind of completely off course there from your question, but there was no chance in hell they were going to do Miz and Morrison, or at least the main event of WrestleMania 27. Maybe if they switched Edge and Del Rio and did that in the main event, which would have been better considering it was Edge's final match. It turned out to be Edge's final match, and it was a better match anyway than Miz and Cena. And then do Miz and Morrison in the opener of WrestleMania. I guess that would have made more sense. I could see where, from a fantasy booking standpoint, it would have been cool to see Miz and Morrison for the championship at WrestleMania. But then again, you know that they were never, ever going to do that as the WrestleMania main event, because they needed that name to carry them on, like a John Cena or a Triple H or a Randy Orton. Miz and Morrison were not those guys, unfortunately. Not even now are they those guys. His next question, do you see Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy winning the tag team championships from Decay at TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view? I do, as they should. They are the best thing going, not only in TNA, but honestly in all of wrestling right now. One of the hottest acts in all of wrestling are Broken Matt, and now Brother Nero, too. They got Deleter Decay coming up on Thursday's Impact, or Final Deletion 2, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to that. But Decay have been a good tag team. They've had a good reign as tag team champions, but obviously the money has got to be with Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy. They're such an entertaining tandem. The Hardys are the Hardys. They're always great, but with this whole new changing character and the evolution of their personas, they are more relevant now than they have been in several years. So definitely it feels like a no-brainer to me to put the championships in those two at Bound for Glory. Next question is, whose character had a worse relationship with her father, Cody Rhodes / Stardust or Ted DiBiase Jr.? I can only really remember one time where Ted DiBiase's father and Ted DiBiase Jr. did not, or the $1 Million Man, whatever, the $1 Million Man and Ted DiBiase Jr. did not get along, and that was when, I think it might have been the night where Ted DiBiase faced Orton on Raw, or a couple weeks earlier when Ted DiBiase, or when I'm just getting so fucking confused. The $1 Million Man guest hosted Raw and DiBiase slapped him backstage. He slapped his dad backstage. That was the only real time I could recall that they were on bad terms on TV. Other than that, when Ted DiBiase Jr. debuted, it was because of his father. When at WrestleMania 26, when he lost, he got that fund or whatever it was. I forgot what it's called, but he gave him the $1 Million Championship. He gave him Virgil, so they were obviously on good terms at that point. Even less than a year earlier, they were slapping each other on TV, so I gotta go with Cody Rhodes. I know they were like buddy-buddy. I remember when Randy Orton RKO'd Dusty on an episode of Raw one day, and Cody Rhodes got super pissed. He got super pissed, and Cody Rhodes showed remorse. But otherwise, other than that, he's kind of been a dick towards his father. Actually, they were on the same... They turned Dusty heel for like a night on SmackDown in 2011. But other than that, when he was Stardust, he hated his father. So I got to go with Cody Rhodes. I feel like they've had more instances where Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes have been on bad terms, as opposed to Teddy DiBiase Jr. and the $1 Million Man. Next question: keep or erase Senor Benjamin or Dr. Shelby? That's a tough one. They're both great characters, but you can't beat Dr. Shelby, dude. I love Senor Benjamin from TNA right now, but Dr. Shelby was involved in some of the best sit-down, backstage, pre-taped, whatever the hell you want to call them, segments in recent WWE history. They were so good. There is no way that you cannot go with Dr. Shelby here. Amanda450 Splash got a couple questions here. First one being, with the next NXT TakeOver being in Toronto, do you see a Toronto/Ontario wrestler being in the main event? I would hope so. I mean, they have Dillinger, they got Bobby Roode, and they have Eric Young, who I believe is signed. I don't know whether they're from Toronto, Ontario, whatever. I honestly really don't know. I just know they're from Canada. I'm sorry for any of my fellow Canadians out there. I'm not a Canadian, but for any of my Canadian listeners, I apologize that I don't know where these people are from. But I do know they're Canadian, though. So that being said, I would put... I don't know if it's too soon, but it looks like they are going to do Nakamura Joe 2. So then that would mean that they're not going to be in the main event. So then again, I feel like it is too soon to do Roode and Nakamura at TakeOver in Canada. It would be pretty great to see Roode win the championship in his native Canada at TakeOver. I just don't see that happening, unfortunately, just because it does look like Joe will be back in time for TakeOver, and I think it's Survivor Series weekends. We have 2.5 months. They wrote Joe out of storylines for the next month or so. They didn't really say, but he was not at the latest set of TV tapings, so he should be back at some point to do the rematch with Nakamura, hopefully at that Survivor Series special, which would mean, that Roode, Eric Young, or Ty Dillinger would not be in the main event. So I imagine it will be Nakamura Joe 2, but I guess only time will tell. Their second question: do you ever see Owen Hart going into the WWE Hall of Fame? Obviously, yeah, I do. I thought they would have done it this past year. I mean, not really obviously, but just because it's taken them this long to do it, I do think it's more a matter of when than if. I'm surprised. I was shocked they didn't do it this year, just because they came out the DVD on him late last year. But I apparently read that the widow, Martha Hart, was on board, or she wasn't on board with the DVD, but they allowed them to do the DVD, but they won't allow them to do the Hall of Fame induction. I hate to say it, they won't induct him until after she's dead, until after she dies, which is really unfortunate, which they'll probably do that anyway, and it might be a long-ass time. Like I said, maybe a long time down the line, but he will be in the Hall of Fame eventually. And again, how soon, we don't know, but hopefully sooner rather than later. Her next question: do you see Ty Dillinger on the main roster? If so, which brand and why? I would put him on SmackDown just because I feel like he'd have more of a chance to break out. But I don't... Do I see him on a main roster show? We've never really seen a jobber get promoted from NXT. I mean, even the Ascension, who are jobbers, or Bo Dallas, like, he was NXT champion. The Ascension were NXT Tag Team champions. You know what I mean? We rarely ever see... I mean, I guess Adam Rose... but I feel like they had bigger... He was never really intended to be a jobber from the get-go. They had bigger plans for him, but he fell flat huge. Dillinger, though, he's so over that I don't know if it would work on a main roster audience. I feel like it would. I feel like just doing 10 is just so easy. I don't know why it wouldn't get over on the main roster. So, do I see him on the main roster one day? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I'm going to go ahead and say yes just because he's been there for so long, and he's so good, dude. He is so good. He's such a great wrestler. If they could bring the Tyler Breeze character to the main roster and fucking abuse that and make him a jobber, I don't see why they just can't do the same thing with Ty Dillinger, because he's so good. He's a great wrestler. He's got a great gimmick. He's over in NXT, so I don't see why they just can't bring him to Raw or SmackDown. Like I said, specifically SmackDown, just because I feel like he'd have a bigger shot, more of a chance to succeed in the main roster, but I guess it's only really a matter of time. Next question of Amanda is, out of all the eras in WWE history, which one is your favorite and why? I've definitely answered this before, and I think you guys know my answer here. Ruthless Aggression era, I think, is definitely my favorite era in WWE history, just because I love the years of 02 and 05 and everything else that happened in between them. I mean, I'm not going to praise everything, like we got, Katie Vick, we got the Dawn Marie and Al Wilson storyline, which was, whether you loved it or you hated it, was something else. On the SmackDown side of things, we had Triple H's Reign of Terror as World Heavyweight Champion from 02 to 05. But there was still a lot of good wrestling from 02 to 05. Not to hate on the Attitude Era, but I feel like everyone just loves and fantasizes and romanticizes about the Attitude Era. And it was a great time, but I'm just more of a wrestling-oriented guy. And I could say like the current era, and I love modern-day wrestling, but I don't know. It's just something about those 02 to 05 pay-per-views I just love watching. So I'd have to go the Ruthless Aggression Era and Benoit's matches, Orton's matches later on, the rising star that he was, Kurt Angle, all the others, Brock Lesnar from 02 to 04 before he left. So definitely Ruthless Aggression Era is my favorite era in WWE history. Captain Sunshine, there's something about NXT last Wednesday that felt refreshingly developmental. Steve Cutler and Angelo Dawkins matches aren't exciting or anything, but it reminds me of almost a nostalgic time when Tyler Black didn't just come in and was advertised as Tyler Black. He had to be built up as anew as Seth Rollins. This isn't a knock on anything about NXT, and I'm sorry if I can't phrase it any better, but do you ever just think about when Bo Dallas was champion and NXT wasn't roaming with special attraction prospects like Bobby Roode? I do think about that, and I thought about that after Wednesday's show. It was a boring show, it was not a great show, or at least as great as past weeks. I thought every episode of NXT, from TakeOver the End to TakeOver Brooklyn, was stellar. They had a really, really good build for that show. Obviously exceeded expectations of being an extraordinary event. But you make a great point, and I feel like while Wednesday's show was boring, I feel like people who were not around for that era that you mentioned when Bo Dallas was champion and so on and so forth are going to shit on the show like, oh, that was awful. Steve Cutler sucks. He doesn't suck. He's just generic, like I said earlier. Liv Morgan, who's not all that good yet, but she can be good over time. They are in rebuilding mode right now. Bayley's on the main roster. They took a whole chunk of their women in the last month and a half. Literally this year, really. When you look at, they took Dana Brooke, Bayley, Nia Jax, Carmella, Alexa Bliss. Was there anyone else? I feel like that's it. Maybe one other person, but that's 5 women right there in the last 4 or 5 months alone. And that was pretty much most of NXT. Emma too, that's 6. Emma too, right before WrestleMania. That's 6 women from NXT's women's division who really kind of made up the entire division over the past year and a half. And now who do they have left? Asuka, obviously, but beyond that, who do they have? Ember Moon now. They have Liv Morgan. They have Billie Kay, Peyton Royce. They're all good wrestlers, but none of them are established. And they have to start rebuilding these women, or start rather just building, period, these women up. Same thing with the men. You have guys like Steve Cutler. You have Angelo Dawkins. All these guys who are really unknown. I can't wait for them to debut. I mean, they already kind of have debuted him, but hopefully they start pushing him. Patrick Clark from Tough Enough. He's been on a few episodes of NXT in the past couple months. He's really good too. He has experience from the indie scene. But yeah, I think these guys, they can be good over time. And not that they have to start pushing their own. They should. And it's not a bad thing that they're pushing, guys like Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe. And I talked about this last week. Not on the latest episode of Wrestle Rain Radio. I think it was the episode before that. So about a week ago. I put it up on Monday. I was a bit late, so don't kill me. But I said, and I kind of echoed the thoughts that Daniel Bryan had not too long ago. He talked about on Talking Smack that guys like Nakamura, Joe, Bobby Roode, Aries, it's almost a joke, really, that they're done in NXT. NXT is great, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But really, why are they in NXT? NXT, at the end of the day, from what it was designed to be, and I was listening to some, I'll talk about it in a second, actually. I'll space it out so I'm not going all over myself here. I'm not going all over the place. But it's really a joke. They're down in NXT. NXT from the get-go was designed to be developmental, to build up new stars. And they've done that, with guys like Roman Reigns, Big Cass, Enzo, even Bayley and Sasha. I know they had indie experience. They weren't, world-renowned athletes, before they came to WWE. Charlotte is a prime example of someone they built up from the ground up in NXT, which is why she was there for 2 years. But beyond that, who else have they really produced of their own? And I talked about this before. I know someone else had asked me about it maybe recently, a while ago. I can't really remember when, but I know I've talked about this before. But only recently has it started to bother me again, like, guys like Rude, Aries, I'm very happy they're having, great matches down in NXT, and they're getting great reactions. That's awesome, but really, what are they learning down there? I just got finished listening to a clip from Dave Meltzer, who I don't really listen to all that often. It's not like I don't like his thoughts, but I just don't really have the time to read the newsletter. I don't pay for the newsletter. But there was some clip on YouTube that was posted by Death to All Marks, who used to be on Twitter. They got suspended for whatever reason, which sucks. He was a great Twitter user. And he has his own YouTube channel. So he posted this clip. If you just type it in, Dave Meltzer on the effectiveness of NXT. And I was like, wow, he makes a great fucking point. That Rude, Aries, Nakamura, they're not learning anything in NXT. They've been wrestling for over a decade. What the fuck are they learning down in NXT? It is developmental. They are the big names that NXT needs to draw crowds and stuff. But you could do that with the people that you build up. The Steve Cutlers, the former Roman Reigns of the world. You know what I mean? Like, you need those guys to be the future of this company. And it's not even that Aries and Nakamura and Joe and Rude, they won't be around for much longer, because they should be around for a couple more years at the earliest, at the very least. It's not even that. It's just that developmental, the TV time that these guys are getting, which is awesome for, fans like us that love Nakamura, Rude, and so on and so forth. But it's taking TV time away from their live event crew. People like Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, who have been down there for fucking years, dude. They have been there for years. Steve Cutler has been under contract since God knows when. I remember seeing him job out to people 3 years ago. He's been here for a long-ass time. And only now is he starting to get a chance in the absence of guys like, everyone, Balor and everyone else has gotten called up. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me. Now that I really think about it, that it's a joke. It's a joke. The guys like Nakamura, the hottest wrestling star in the world right now, is in a developmental program. Why isn't he on the main roster right now? Like I said in that clip here on the channel about a week and a half ago, Daniel Bryan said it himself. The more bumps they're taking down in NXT, the less bumps they can have on the main roster. And it's like, oh, so what's the difference? Because on the main roster, you make real money. On the main roster, you get the exposure. NXT's fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. It is. And I love NXT. But the main roster is where they get their ratings, where they get their merchandise, where they make their live event sales, and so on and so forth. They're not making that much down in NXT. Why do you think James Storm left? Because they didn't make him a big enough deal. They gave him, not a couple bucks, but he's making more money now in TNA than he ever was in NXT. And I'm sure he's being paid on time, otherwise he probably would have quit a while ago. And that's a work, by the way, just to clear that up. But anyway, they're not making that much down in NXT, because it is, at the end of the day, a developmental program. They're touring, but not as much as the main roster, obviously. So it's really a joke. It's a joke that they're having like these amazing matches down in NXT. That's great and that's all well and good, but guys like Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, the Revival, they're killing themselves to have matches in front of 100, 200 people in St. Fort Myers, Florida, or whatever the hell it is, wherever the hell they tour in Florida. It just, if you really think about it, like I've thought about this before, and I know I've had people talk to me or, ask me about, is NXT ruining the main roster? No, NXT is not ruining the main roster. But WWE is screwing themselves over. Or maybe even it's Triple H's fault. I don't know whose fault it is. But the fact that they're all, like they're the faces of NXT, that's great. But they should be the faces of the main roster. Nakamura is more over. And he would be more over. It's not like a Full Sail thing where he's only getting big reactions in little arenas. The guy would be the most over fucking thing on the main roster if they promoted him today. So why isn't he there? He's been wrestling for 10 years at this point. Over 10 years. I'm sorry to get frustrated about this, but your question makes a great point. I'm not saying that it does kind of make me nostalgic thinking about those times 3 years ago. I would sit down after class, after my freshman year of college, and wait for NXT to be uploaded on Hulu. On Hulu. Remember those days when it wasn't even available on the network or even in the US, and you had to kind of like search around for it on the internet? It was like the best kept secret in wrestling for you to find NXT. And yes, they had Sami Zayn. Yes, they had Neville. Yes, they had all these indie guys. But it really wasn't as prominent as it is now. It's indie, it's like the greatest indie promotion in the world. That's great. But at the same time, they were building up their own stars. Guys like Roman Reigns, Bo Dallas, as you mentioned, Big E, a former NXT champion. What was he doing before he came to WWE? Why do you think he's a star in the WWE? Because of NXT. And the New Day, obviously, but you know what I mean. So, I'm sorry to go on for so long about this question, but you make a really, really good point. And so does everyone else that I've listened to, like Dave Meltzer And it's just, really, you think about it, it's a fucking joke. It's a joke that Joe, Nakamura, Aries, and Rude are down in developmental. NXT is awesome. And I said this months ago when people were like, oh, what's going to happen to NXT after the brand split? NXT will be just fine. The shows might be a bit boring now, but they gotta start building towards the future. And they already are doing that with Rude and all those other guys I said, but they gotta start building their own homegrown talent, because those guys I just mentioned should already be on the main roster. You cannot put a Steve Cutler on the main roster, because the guy's not that good yet. He downright sucks. I mean, okay, that kind of contradicts what he said before, but you know what I'm saying, though. He can be really good over time. He's just not there yet. Aries, Rude, Nakamura, all those guys could be on the main roster right now. Those people, Steve Cutler, Angelo Dawkins, could not. So why aren't you building those people up? You know what I mean? Just some food for thought. Frank Ashir 15, also from YouTube. Does Dean Ambrose have a boring moveset? A little bit. I know someone else asked me about this, and I'll get to it a little bit later on, but yeah, I mean, he kind of does. I mean, I don't hate his moveset. He's a good wrestler, but I feel like Stone Cold might be right. I feel like he is kind of resting on his laurels in terms of maybe it's a staleness about his character as a babyface. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but he's just not delivering the goods as world champion. His matches aren't bad. He's had some great freaking matches with Seth Rollins, with Jericho. I thought the first match was really good. The second match, not so much, but the first one was really good. With Roman Reigns, too. I mean, the triple-threaded battleground was really good. The going through the ropes thing, I know Kyle O'Reilly does it 10 times better. And it doesn't get old for him for whatever reason. Maybe just because he doesn't shove it down our throats. Dean Ambrose, when he goes, whoa, like through the ropes, he does it so often, it's like, dude, enough already. People hate that move at this point. I don't really hate it, but it has grown tiresome. He's got to stop doing it, or at least do it once in a while, because it's getting to the point of ridiculousness. But anyway, he's not the flashiest wrestler in the ring. I think Ambrose can really, it's not that he has a boring moveset. Like, you could say the same thing about Cesaro, or even like a William Regal. It's not that they're boring in the ring, they're more methodical. And I feel like Ambrose has that psychology about him that makes him that's what makes him a really good wrestler, is his psychology in the ring. But he's not really honing that skill for whatever reason recently. I'm not exactly sure why. Like I said, maybe he needs to go heel. He just kind of feels a little bit stale at the moment. But yeah, I feel like the real money with Ambrose is as a heel. Maybe that's where he kind of thrives in the ring. I'm not exactly sure. I guess only time will really tell. Their second question, which pay-per-view has more potential of being better, Clash of Champions or Backlash? I think Clash of Champions could have a really good card. I mean, so far, I'm not exactly sure what the card's going to look like. It looks like we're getting 2 SummerSlam rematches, probably, between Reigns and Rusev, if they haven't dropped that for whatever reason, and then New Day and Club. Then I can also see them doing Bayley and Charlotte. I could see them doing Rollins and Owens, 2 really good matches. But I don't know. Right now, my hype level for Backlash is through the roof. Not that I'm not looking forward to Clash of Champions, but every title will be on the line, all 4 of them. Okay, so what made it different than SummerSlam? We just saw every championship in the company defended at SummerSlam. So what makes Clash of Champions any different? I wish they'd get rid of that show. Night of Champions, Clash of Champions, it doesn't matter. The pay-per-view's pointless. Backlash, though, I'm really looking forward to. AJ Ambrose, I think it'd be really good, specifically just so I could see Ambrose or finally AJ win a WWE Championship. Thank God. That is long overdue. Miz and Ziggler, been there, done that, but the matches are always really good. The 6-woman match, anyone could feasibly win, which is why I'm looking forward to that one. The finals of the tag team tournament, maybe Baron Corbin and Kane, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt for the first time ever. I'm really looking forward to Backlash. Maybe Clash of Champions will be better, but so far I feel like Backlash will be the better show, and SmackDown, in my opinion, overall, more often than not, has been the better show over Raw. Next question comes from Brandon A., also from YouTube. Why do you think Molly Holly never gets mentioned with the greats of women's wrestling? Will Naomi be the new Molly Holly when all is said and done, with the 4 horsewomen playing the roles of Trish, Lita, Victoria, etc.? One, I absolutely agree. She is very much underrated. I don't know why she never gets mentioned. I just got finished talking about this, literally a couple days ago. And I'm thinking, he probably heard the clip, but I know you didn't, because I taped it for a month from now in a review of Armageddon. Armageddon 2000 or 9. I think it was 03 or something. I'm pretty sure it was Armageddon 03. She had a match with Ivory. That wasn't really that good, but it wasn't Molly Holly's fault. She tried. She's a really good, was a really good wrestler. I don't know why. I honestly really don't know why. She would be, honestly, the next person that I would induct into the WWE Hall of Fame. She lasted a long time. She had a reign as women's champion. a really good reign as women's champion. She had a lot of good matches. She was a great athlete, a memorable character. So I would put her in the Hall of Fame for sure. Maybe even this year. Who knows? But Naomi, I could see the comparison. I like the comparison. But Naomi, unlike Molly Holly, has yet to be a champion. And I think she will be, especially now with 2 women's championships, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. I don't think she's winning on Sunday, nor should she. I'd put the belt on Becky Lynch. But maybe at some point down the line, Naomi's been... The sad thing is that she's been here for 6 years. 6 years, people. Almost exactly 6 years. It was this month, 6 years ago, that she debuted on the 3rd season of NXT. And then she got put on SmackDown. She was with the Funkadactyl. She was with Tamina and Sasha Banks and blah, blah, blah. She was with the Usos. She never really gets her just due. She's really good. She's not great, but she is really good. But yeah, I feel like for months, not that Charlotte and Bayley and Becky and Sasha aren't good because they're great. I feel like Naomi really hit her stride at the wrong time. She should have been champion a year ago, but because they were in the midst of Nikki Bella's year-long reign as Divas champion, that was a no-go. And when she got hot later on in the year, late 2015, earlier this year, it was when they were building to Banks and Charlotte and Becky at WrestleMania 32. So she never really got her just due in the title picture. So hopefully now with 2 brands, she will finally win a championship, but I think it is very possible that for the 6 years that she's been with the company, she has almost always been overshadowed, and that could very well make her the new Molly Holly of this generation. I agree. That's a great comparison. Who should induct these future WWE Hall of Famers? Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Rob Van Dam, and Daniel Bryan. Jericho, probably Christian. It's such a shame that Benoit and Eddie are gone because they would have been perfect people to do it. If not Rufus, then I'd have to go with Christian for Jericho's inductor. Randy Orton... Edge would have been cool, but they were tag team partners for a cup of coffee, so probably not. Triple H was really a mentor to Orton, and they've had great feuds, or a lot of matches, so it's got to be Triple H, I think. Rey Mysterio, probably Batista. I feel like their close relationship, Batista would be the good choice for it. Maybe his father, I'm not exactly sure, but I think Batista would be a good choice to induct Rey Mysterio. RVD's a tough one. I put Paul Heyman down, but now that I think about it, probably Sabu. I think RVD inducted Sabu into the Hall of Fame. Not Sabu. They inducted fucking the Sheik into the Hall of Fame. Didn't they years ago? So I'd have it be Sabu probably. And Daniel Bryan, I think I've answered this question before when someone asked me many months ago, right after he retired, that if he was going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, who should induct him? Not Brie Bella. I feel like, yes, they're married, but they've never had any on-screen relationship outside of Total Divas, really. So I wouldn't have it be Brie Bella. I don't know. I mean, CM Punk, it's such a shame that he's gone because he would have been a great person to do it. Nigel McGuinness would have been great. I feel like they would never do that, though, considering that he's head honcho in Ring of Honor. Anything's possible, who knows, but he'd be a great choice. The best choice that I could come up with is probably Kane. Just because they had such a great... I know that sounds kind of dull or lackluster, but they had such a great run as Team Hell No. I feel like I'd be fine with that. Their next question, how would you book Sami Zayn winning a world title? Road to WrestleMania, Money in the Bank cash-in, surprise championship opportunity, etc. Road to WrestleMania, dude. It's got to be Road to WrestleMania, or at least a long championship chase. I could not feasibly see Sami Zayn winning the briefcase and cashing it that way, nor should he. NXT nailed it. They nailed it with Sami Zayn's championship chase. He went for the gold a few times in late 2014, lost to Bo Dallas. He got a couple more shots throughout 2014, lost, before finally embarking on a road to redemption. Won, and finally beat Neville, his best friend in NXT, for the championship in an amazing match. So it's got to be the same way. Same thing with Bayley. They can't give her the championship from the get-go. They can't give her the belt to Clash of Champions. Why would they do that? They perfected her character arc in NXT, and having her wait 2 years to finally win the championship. That's some awesome long-term booking. And that's why that moment in that match was so magical, with Bayley winning the championship at TakeOver last year, because people were hungry to finally see her win that gold. So I feel like it should be the same thing on the main roster for both Zayn and Bayley. Their next question, how long do you think it'll be for the PC to produce a homegrown WWE champion? All the NXT stars are indie guys outside of the women, although Asuka and Ember Moon are indie stars. Do you think the fans will let it happen, considering the last homegrown champ was Roman Reigns? It's not that fans have, we hate homegrown stars. I feel like Roman Reigns' push was just way too... I mean, I've talked to this before. This is, very common knowledge, but... it's not that they hate homegrown guys, because they were very much behind Roman Reigns throughout the Shield. They were also behind him when he broke it on his own in the summer of 2014. When I was at the last Raw of June in 2014, the night after Money in the Bank, when Jericho came back, Miz came back, Ambrose or Rollins teased cashing in. When Reigns and Triple H went face-to-face at the end of the show, people were saying, this is awesome. They were going nuts for Roman Reigns. People were like, oh, put the belt on him at Battleground 2014. And even then, people would have disliked it. But you know what I mean? Like, when he came back, the injury was the worst thing that could have happened to him. And I laugh. I still laugh to this day, because I said at the time, people were like, oh, he's going to come back fresher than ever. Well, why would he come back fresher than ever? He had no time to develop. Those 3 months that he was off for due to injury was the time for him to improve. And he couldn't improve. So when he came back, he was still all that not good. And he didn't have any character development at all, which is why people did not like him winning the Rumble, especially over Daniel Bryan. So it was the terrible timing, so on and so forth. You know the drill. So it's not that they hate homegrown stars. It's just how Roman Reigns was booked, which was just horribly, obviously. But yeah, so if they can produce a homegrown star like a Roman Reigns, whether it be, like I said, Steve Cutler at this point, I'm not exactly sure. I feel like they won't reject him. Just because they got to start building up the future of the foundation early. I don't want to go on a huge rant about this again. I already talked about this earlier on with the whole NXT dilemma and that how it's a joke that Joe and Aries and Rude are still down there. Nakamura too. But yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's not a homegrown thing. They need to start building homegrown stars, but they need to start now. So I feel like how long will it take? It's gonna be a while. But then again, I feel like Big Cass it could be considered a homegrown talent. He's not like a huge indie star. And after last Monday, I could see him being a WWE champion at some point. So I feel like he'll be probably the next homegrown talent of NXT to become WWE champion. Next question: what is the worst pay-per-view on paper that turned out to be much better than anticipated? That's a good question. I couldn't think of any pay-per-views off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some of them. Just one pay-per-view that came to mind. Not that it looked terrible on paper, but people were really all that not excited for WrestleMania 31. People were not hyped at all, or at least a little bit they were, but not as much as they should have been. They were like, because Daniel Bryan was not in the main event, and we had Reigns and Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar was leaving, so it had all this like, oh fuck, we know Reigns is going to win, this is going to be awful, this card's going to blow, Taker wasn't facing Sting, and all this other kind of stuff, all this other kind of bullshit. So people weren't really looking forward to the show. By and large, they weren't looking forward to the show. Yet it ended up delivering and being one of the best WrestleManias in recent memory. Back-to-back with WrestleMania 30, some of the greatest WrestleManias in years. So, I don't know if that really counts for your question. I wouldn't say so, but that's my cop-out answer because I couldn't think of a better show that fit your question. Mark S. from Facebook, what are your thoughts on how WWE will handle the Royal Rumble match this year? Presume it will contain both Raw and SmackDown wrestlers. Could the winner get a choice of which WWE champion they want to face? That was the way that it used to work with, regardless of whether you're on Raw, SmackDown, or ECW, but let's face it, no one from ECW was ever winning the Royal Rumble. They got the choice of choosing what championship they got to go for at WrestleMania, so this year I expect nothing will be different. His next question, I already answered that. What are your thoughts on Triple H? What are your thoughts on why Triple H has returned to Raw? Obviously, to exact revenge on Seth Rollins. So, I mean, the whole return of Triple H to Raw, we'll see where it goes. Like, I know I was super pumped when he turned heel about a year ago, or not a year ago, sorry, like 3 years ago when the Authority first formed. But then beyond that, it was just authority. It made me want to puke. It's like, god damn, with this Authority bullshit, just end it already. So I'm hoping this is not the Authority 2.0. I'm all for an alliance between Triple H and Kevin Owens. I'm all for that. But just don't make this into another Authority by throwing people that just people don't give a shit about in there, like Kane and Big Show, Mark Henry. No one fucking cares, dude. So hopefully that's the extent of it. So I'm fine with him coming back to TV as long as he's not kicking off the show every single week with 30-minute promos as we saw for almost 3 years from the summer of 2013 up until right before WrestleMania. Andre G, also from Facebook, do you think James Storm will ever return to NXT? Yeah, I think so. I think the door is open. I don't know how likely it is, but I know when he not really left, he never signed with them, but I know he said in interviews after he rejoined TNA that the door was left open for him in NXT. So Triple H, I think, would welcome him back, even if it's a year year or two down the line. I think he would want to go back there, definitely, especially with Bobby Roode being there, whether they team up or they feud or whatever. Oh, could you imagine a Bobby Roode, James Storm feud? Bobby Roode, James Storm feud in TNA, or rather fucking NXT. That would be magical. Or even a beer. Oh, alcohol money, baby. I'm all for it. Alcohol currency, I'm all for it in NXT. Anyway, though, yeah, I think there is a chance we could see him back in NXT. I don't know how likely it is. I don't know when his contract expires with TNA. It could be next year. It could be in 2 years. I don't really remember. Hopefully it is soon, though, because I would love to see him back in NXT, especially with Bobby Roode being there now. Since I know how much you love The Big Show, very funny, what is the most underrated match you have ever watched? I assume he's talking about a Big Show match. Underrated? I don't know if Big Show's had many underrated matches. They're either really good or really bad, and he has not had many great matches. But I've always said the best matches of Big Show that I've ever seen are easily Floyd Money Mayweather from WrestleMania 24, the match with Sheamus from Hell in a Cell 2012 for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the Last Man Standing match with Roman Reigns from Extreme Rules last year was also really, really good. So again, I don't know if they're underrated. I thought the Reigns match, I guess you could call that underrated, because I feel like people didn't really give a crap about Roman Reigns. It was in Chicago. They were booing him. They were booing Big Show. This is going to be a train wreck. But the match was actually really good. So I would probably call that one the most underrated Big Show match I've ever seen. Next question is, do you think it's a mistake by the WWE to begin pushing Big Cass even though he has not really had that big-time match? I don't think they're pushing him as a singles guy just yet. I know he was in the main event of Raw last week, but I think that was only a one-time thing to have the new era blood in there. I don't think... If he wins the U.S. title tonight against Rusev, then you can say that I was wrong. But I do think they are going to continue on with Enzo and Big Cass, as they should. They still have plenty more to accomplish as a tag team before they break off. I wouldn't break them off. I know WWE will do that at some point just because they love Big Cass and his size and whatever, and you can't teach that, but the guy is still not there, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot, so. And you know the fans would reject him too if he became champion last week, so I wouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. You kind of made it seem like they're already pushing him, and I guess they kind of are. Maybe they are just kind of grooming him for the future and kind of testing the waters for a future main event run. But so far, I feel like they are going to continue on in the path with him as a tag team guy, and last week was just a one and done type deal with him in the main event, just to get some new era blood in there. Moving forward to the Twitter questions at NJWade_, and I apologize to Noah, he sent this question in, I think about a week or two ago. For last week's edition, I didn't see it. Just a heads up, I know he did this by accident, but when you send in questions, be sure to tag me on Twitter, at WrestleRant. If you just do the question with the hashtag, I don't click on the hashtag. I probably should, but I think it's just a lot easier for me. Just if you tweet me the question, I'll favorite it, like it, whatever the fuck it is. It'll be in my likes. I could look at it on Monday morning, put the questions together. It just makes it 10 times easier. So I apologize to my brother Noah in advance. I already did, actually, but I apologize again for not getting to his question last week. But it's a great question, and it was, if you could pick one Royal Rumble, one Hall of Fame ceremony, and one WrestleMania where you wish you could have attended, what would they be and why? Again, great question. For Royal Rumble, and I know Noah's going to like this one, the 2008 Royal Rumble, which took place in his backyard of MSG in New York. Oh, what a great Rumble. I don't know if you're talking about Rumble show or Rumble match or what, or whatever. The match itself was great. The whole show was really good. The crowd was electric. And I really enjoyed that Rumble. I wish I could have been there for the scenery. I mean, I wasn't even watching wrestling at that point. But if I could have been there, I would have been. Like, if I'm as old as I am now, if I was as old as I currently am, if I was 21 years old back in 2008, and I loved wrestling as much as I do right now, I definitely would have gone to that hands down. That would have been great. So I definitely would have gone to the 2008 Royal Rumble. Hall of Fame ceremony, I'm thinking, you know what? I would never want to sit through a Hall of Fame ceremony just because it's so long. Some people, either I don't know them or I don't care about them, all due respect, but sometimes it's like, God, finish this up already. Like when the Freebirds went in this year, God damn it, they went like a fucking hour. They went forever. They would not shut up. Fucking Michael piece of shit Hayes would not shut up for an hour, but anyway. And then I thought to myself, you know what, there is one Hall of Fame ceremony I would have loved to have been at. The 2014 Hall of Fame ceremony when Warrior went in. Oh, man, especially considering that Warrior died 2 days later, or 3 days later after that, and he was such an inspirational icon of mine, my top inspirational icon of all time. I would have loved to have been there for that. His speech was great. The whole night was great. You got Lita inducted. You had Scott Hall inducted that year. Jake Roberts. A really good Hall of Fame ceremony. So I wish I could have been there for that one. In one WrestleMania I wish I could have been at. Either one of the two of my favorite WrestleManias ever. Either WrestleMania 28 or WrestleMania 31. Of my favorite WrestleManias as a fan. Those were both really, really good. 28 was great, was my favorite WrestleMania up until 31, and 31 was just amazing too. So I don't know, I can't decide. I put 28 down here for your question, but I would say 31 too. It's hard to say, but once again, one Rumble I could have been at, 08 Rumble, one Hall of Fame ceremony I wish I could have been at, the 2014 installment, and one WrestleMania I wish I could have been at, either 28 or 31. At Wrestling Addict 5, also from Twitter, do you think we're going to get Samoa Joe versus John Cena as a feud, since rumors are that Joe is going to SmackDown Live? I have not heard those rumors. I have personally said that Joe is probably going to SmackDown just because they need more heels. Del Rio's gone. AJ is amazing, but that's all they have. Baron Corbin is not there yet, and that's pretty much it. Bray Wyatt should be a babyface, so they need more heels. Samoa Joe should be on SmackDown. I've said that before, and I would love to see a Joe and Cena feud in time for WrestleMania. That'd be fucking great. At Sean Markistic, I know he sent in a couple questions. I'm sorry, Sean. You sent in a couple questions about rank every Armageddon pay-per-view ever, rank every Backlash, rank every No Mercy. I can't. There's so many No Mercy pay-per-views. If you're saying like rank every Battleground, like there's only been 3 or 4 installments, that's a bit easier. But I can't rank every installment of a year of a pay-per-view that's lasted 10 years. You know what I mean? It's just super difficult, so I'm not going to answer those. I'm sorry. But I will answer this question of yours. Have 2015 and 2016 been the best years in John Cena's career? Honestly, I'd say yeah. I know he has not been world champion in over 2 years at this point, but he has still felt fresher and had the best matches of his career in the matter of 2 years. You look at the matches from 2015 and 2016 with the likes of AJ Styles, with Seth Rollins, with Kevin Owens, even with Rusev, he had some pretty decent matches. The U.S. Open stuff. He has definitely had the 2 best years of his in-ring career. I don't know about character-wise. I know he was WWE champion in 05 and 06. Those are probably, from a storyline standpoint, the 2 best years of his career. But in terms of engaging storylines, great character development, amazing matches, easily, I would say, 2015 and 2016 have been the best years of Cena's career up to this point. Hopefully 2016, or 2017 rather, is even better. At The Average Grunt, how would you rank all the Raw and SmackDown Live themes? I can't. I know they have a couple different themes for both shows. I just know the opening theme for SmackDown and Enemies by Shinedown is the main theme for Raw. I know all the other themes. They have a couple other themes as like the bumper themes for both shows, but they suck. They're not good. So I'm not even going to bother ranking them. I couldn't even tell you what they were if I wanted to, because I don't really remember. They're just that generic. The SmackDown Live theme is okay. It's by CFO. It's like Time to Rise or One Night or Time to Shine or something like that. I don't know. It's not bad, but the Raw theme blows it out of the water. So if you're asking me which theme is better, the Raw opening theme is way better than SmackDown's, although SmackDown's is not really all that bad. His second question, what is the best / your favorite WWE pay-per-view that took place outside of the U.S.? That's a great question. I'll split it up. I'll give you 2 different answers here. The best, probably SummerSlam 1992, I feel like is remembered as the greatest non-United States pay-per-view WWE ever did. So probably SummerSlam 92. Favorite? I'm thinking to myself, for whatever reason, I thought Survivor Series 02 was in Canada. Obviously it wasn't. That was in MSG, but I don't know why I thought it was in Canada. 97 obviously was in Canada. But favorite non-US WWE pay-per-view, I would say TakeOver London, but it's not really a WWE pay-per-view, so I won't say that. But probably, and I've seen a lot of England-bound, like English-based pay-per-views, England-bound or England-based pay-per-views on the WWE Network recently, like Rebellion, Insurrection, all those other kind of shows. I'd say Backlash 04. Now, I'm going to have a whole video blog up on Friday, so cheap plug, in my top 7 favorite Backlash matches ever. And I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. There's a couple matches on there from Backlash 04. And that event emanated, I believe, from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which I don't know is the background or the hometown of Benoit. I know he lives in Atlanta, obviously, but I don't know if that was his home city or what, but still, that was a great show, so I'd have to go with Backlash 2004, which I know you approve of, because I know when I watched that show about a year and a half ago, you said, you told me how much you love that show, so I have to agree with you. Backlash 04 is probably, to my memory anyway, my favorite non-US WWE pay-per-view. At Reborn Again, let's see here. Do you think WWE would benefit from making the B pay-per-views just 2 hours instead of 3, like the old in-your-house pay-per-views? That's a really interesting idea, and at first I'm like, eh. And then I'm thinking, you know what? If NXT could make a show even 2.5 hours is fine in my opinion. Not 3, not 3.5. I feel like that's way too long. For pay-per-view, it's okay. For Raw, way too long. Anyway, if NXT can make a show out of 5, 6 matches max, like we saw with TakeOver Brooklyn, why can't the main roster do the same thing? And you know, like for Backlash, they're not going to have 8 matches. You can't do 8 matches for a SmackDown brand that only is a 2-hour show anyway and has a limited roster. So why not just make the show 2 hours? And they could. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're still doing the shows on pay-per-view. I have no idea. I know we call them pay-per-views. Are they really still doing them on pay-per-view? I don't know. But for a network, they can't cut the pay-per-view short. They've done that before. Like by 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. They've done it in the past. So, and it's their own fucking network, so make the show 2.5 hours. I feel like that's just so much easier to digest, or 2 hours at the minimum. But yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, especially for the big pay-per-views when it's only like just Raw and it's just SmackDown. They won't have 10 matches on the fucking show like SummerSlam. Even SummerSlam, I would not make 4 hours, and that's not part of your question, but 4 hours is way too long, especially with a 4-hour kickoff and a 10-hour post-show and all this other shit. It's like a way too long of a night. I was there, and I had a ton of fun, but it was a long-ass night. Anyway, though, so that is a great idea. I did not think about that, and I don't know if they would do it. I doubt it, but I do like the idea of making those B-level pay-per-views when it is only Raw and SmackDown, 2 hours long. His next question, who would you feel that would benefit the most from winning the SmackDown Women's Championship at Backlash? Gotta be Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has been in need of a championship for a while now. She lost the Divas title matches time and time again on the first Raw, or like I think the first SmackDown of the year, at the Royal Rumble, at WrestleMania. She's gotten shot and time again. She always loses. Let's see, her current pay-per-view record in 2015. She's been on pretty much almost every pay-per-view if you think about it. But anyway, listen to this. Lost at SummerSlam. Lost in Italia Battleground. Lost a tag team match on Money in the Bank. Lost to WrestleMania, won at Fastlane, lost the Royal Rumble. So she's like 1 for 5, 1 for 6 right now on pay-per-views this year. Yet she's still over. People love her, as they should, because she's great. She's goddamn good. So give her the belt. I feel like anyone would really benefit, other than probably Nikki Bella, because she's already established, from winning the championship at Backlash. But still, I would put the belt on Becky Lynch just because I know you can do the whole thing with her in chase mode and stuff, and you can do that down the line after she drops the championship, but she's gotten screwed out of the women's title time and time again. Now is the time to put the title on Becky Lynch. She could be a great standard bearer for that division. Next question, what are your 3 favorite and least favorite Backlash main events and why? Great question. Again, Sheep Plug, on Friday I will be covering my top 7 favorite Backlash matches. Not only main events, but just matches, period. From 99 to 2008, or 2009 rather, was the final installment. That Mr. Marceau was that, RJ Marceau. But, I was thinking about it, and I went up and down the shows. Like, there's a lot of great main events. There's so many good main events in Backlash history that it's hard to say. But I'll say my favorite first, and then my least favorite. For favorite, it was hard to narrow it down, but for favorite, I had to say Chris Benoit, Triple H, and HBK. From, like I said earlier, from Backlash 04, great match. Almost as good as the WrestleMania match. Rock and Triple H from Backlash 03 when Stone Cold returned, helped Rock win the title. The match was insane. The moment was insane. No way you can't include that on your list. And then Edge and Cena. There's a couple other really good matches from Backlash in recent years. From other years anyway. Not recent. We haven't had a Backlash in 7 years. Other than this Sunday, obviously. But I don't know. I loved Backlash 09. I thought Edge and Cena was a really good last man standing match. One of the better last man standing matches that I've seen. Big Show choke slamming Cena through the light. So I really enjoyed that match. I got to include that on the list. Least favorite? You know what? I was going up and down the main events. We really only had one, in my opinion anyway, one really lackluster main event, and that was Triple H and Hulk Hogan from 02. And even that wasn't awful. It wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. Every other main event from Backlash in the last since 99 has been either good, great, or amazing. 99, you had Rock and Stone Cold, which you can never go wrong with. Like I said, for 2000, you had Rock and Triple H. 01, yeah, I guess you could probably go with that one. I didn't care too much for this. The two-man power trip, Stone Cold and Triple H versus Brothers of Destruction, Taker and Kane. 02, like I said, Hogan and Triple H. 03, I think, Rock and Goldberg, another really good match that I enjoyed immensely. 04, Benoit, Triple H, HBK. 05, Batista and Triple H. Not my favorite match of that series, but still a good match. 06, Edge, Cena, and Triple H, really good match. 07, Cena, Edge, Orton, and fucking Shawn Michaels. Really good match, a really fun match. Just barely made that list too. Barely missed out on the list, rather. 08, another Fatal 4-Way, Triple H, John Cena, Orton, and JBL, really good match. And then 09, Edge and Cena. So, Cena's dominated those Backlash pay-per-views. Triple H too. But yeah, I think Triple H and Hogan was really the only abysmal main event in Backlash history, which is pretty amazing. Hopefully that strong streak will continue this Sunday with AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. At Swagzio, how long will Kevin Owens be Universal Champion for? Ideally, a couple months. I would keep the belt on until WrestleMania. I mean, I'll say it right now. I would keep the belt on KO until WrestleMania, because who would you have him drop it to anyway? Roman Reigns? God, no. I hope not. Finn Balor won't be back until early next year anyway. Rollins should benefit from the babyface turn. Should not win the belt back anytime soon either. I'd keep the belt in Kevin Owens. Knowing WWE, though, they'll probably do a whole switcheroo. It would not surprise me at all if they hadn't dropped the championship to Rollins again or Reigns down the line, either at Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, but I really want them to prove me wrong. Build up Owens as a dominant, solid heel champion, and then have him hold the championship until WrestleMania 33. That's what I would do. Push, repackage, and release. Revival, American Alpha, and New Day. Good question. Great question, actually, because it's fucking hard to choose. I feel like there's no real right or wrong answer. Every answer is a wrong answer, because I want to release any one of these teams. But I said push American Alpha, because they are the future, and they're amazing. Repackage Revival, into do what? I have no idea. I don't know what I would repackage them into, but I feel like American Alpha is perfect. You know what, actually? I'll take that back. I'll say push Revival, repackage American Alpha, and the only way that I would repackage them is by putting Kurt Angle with them. It's not necessary, but that's the only way I could justify repackaging them. And then release New Day. New Day is great, but I feel like they've run their course compared to Revival and American Alpha. At Mario Bros fan, 94. Do you see Seth Rollins turning babyface after Triple H screwed him out of the championship last week and feuding with Kevin Owens at Clash of Champions? I do, and I hope that's the direction they go, and I hope they don't do that. They probably will. With Rollins staying heel for a few more weeks before finally going babyface at Clash, just fucking do it already. They're already 4 months overdue. We should have been a babyface 4 months ago. Just do it already. You know? So, hopefully that's the direction they're going, and with turning him and then having him feud with Kevin Owens at Clash and hopefully at Hell in a Cell too, and beyond that too. Beyond that, his next question, do you see AJ Styles winning the WWE World Championship at Backlash? And if so, who do you see him defending it against? I do see him winning it Sunday. He's going to win it, period. Whether it be this pay-per-view, No Mercy, but just do it now. Just get it over with. I mean, Ambrose is good, but AJ is the infinitely hotter superstar right now in terms of relevancy, in terms of just being over, in terms of his matches being great. You got to put the belt on AJ yesterday. So have him win the belt on Sunday. And then, what was I going to say? Who do I see him defending it against? Probably Ambrose in a rematch of No Mercy. I could see him defending against John Cena when he gets back. Cruz at some point down the line would be great, but I feel like the real money feud for AJ as champion in the next few months, if not early 2017, is against Orton. The matches those two guys could have would be great. So I can't wait for that day when we get AJ and Orton over that championship. Hopefully they don't give away the match before then. That would be a true shame. Next question, do you see Seth Rollins changing his finisher since Triple H turned on him last week? And if so, what would his finisher be? I feel like he has to change his finisher, right? He can't keep on using the pedigree forever. It's Triple H's move, and Rollins is a babyface now. I know Jericho mentioned that to him at the end of their podcast a few months ago, like, oh, you got that whole story for when Triple H comes back and turns on you, and Rollins kind of laughed it off, and he never really gave an indication what his finisher would be if it wasn't the pedigree. So I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't... Ideally, the curb stomp, but they're not bringing that back. And not the Phoenix Splash either. I would save that as a special move. I would have him finally hit that at WrestleMania against Triple H. I would wait until then to have him finally hit the move in a solid 2 years since he last hit it at the Royal Rumble. It should not be his regular finish, though. I feel like that would diminish its value immediately. So I don't know what else he would have as his finisher. Maybe the diving knee that he does off the top rope, but he said that takes too long. So I don't know. Maybe the knee or the kick, that would be cool. So I don't know. I feel like he has to change his finisher at this point, though. At John Wall 23, his question was, is Sami Zayn being wasted right now? Yeah, he's being underutilized. Yeah, he's being wasted. He is definitely being wasted. There's no real ifs, ands, buts about it. Ifs, ands, or buts about whatever the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? There really is no debate about the fact that Sami Zayn is definitely being misutilized right now. Just because they're not doing anything with him right now. He's beating Jinder Mahal of all people on Raw. It's good he's winning matches, I guess, but for a guy who had one of the best matches of the goddamn year at Battleground, he should be doing a lot more right now than he currently is. So, yes, he is being wasted, and hopefully they find direction for him ASAP. Second question is, how can WWE make their SmackDown heel teams look more credible? I don't know, just build them up a bit more. Breezango was kind of on their way to doing that with their win over the Usos, clean win might I add, at Battleground, and I don't know what the hell happened, but they fell off the face of the earth, and they haven't won a match since, I don't think. So I don't know, they need to give him more. The Ascension suck. The Ascension are boring. The Vaudevillains, just the gimmick, just is not working. You just gotta have them win more. They're just always losing to American Alpha, Usos, and the Hypros. You gotta have them win more matches and build them up the right way, or at least have them talk or something. I couldn't tell you the last time I heard from the Vaudevillains or the Ascension or the fucking Breezango. You know what I mean? You gotta give them more mic time, character development. Otherwise, no one's gonna care, and currently no one does. And his last question, there are two more questions. Should Alberto Del Rio return to Lucha Underground or maybe go to TNA? Definitely go back to Lucha. I love Del Rio and Lucha. As Alberto El Patron, I thought he was great over there. He came off like a fucking star. In TNA, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I honestly don't really want to see anyone in TNA at this point. I like TNA. The product is doing better, but I only like when I heard Sandow, when I heard Damian Sandow, now Aaron Rex was going to TNA, I was like, you know what, good for him. And I wasn't like, oh my god, this is amazing, like it would have been 5 years ago, just because I know when you go to TNA, it's not going to do anything to help your career. Unless your name is Ethan Carter III or maybe Drew Galloway. Otherwise, there's very few people in that company right now that feel hot. Other than, the Hardys, obviously. But beyond them, there's not many household names that really benefited from going to TNA. And he's already said in the past that he wouldn't go there. Maybe he would, but I heard the last that I heard that he said in an interview about a year ago that they made him a lowball offer. They don't have the money. They don't pay their talents on time. Why would I go there? So it would kind of seem hypocritical to me for him to go back, but for him to go there, whatever. But yeah, I would definitely I would love to see him back in Lucha. I thought he was great over there about a year ago. At Daniel, or before we go, that hit his last question. I forgot. I almost skipped over this. Is the Roman Reigns versus Rusev feud already over? I hope not. I hope they just kind of took a break from it just so, Rusev, or rather Reigns, could be in the main event picture for 2 weeks. He already lost, so hopefully that's the end of that, and we go back to Reigns and Rusev, just because they brawled at SummerSlam, and that's it. That's the last time we saw them together, so that better not be it, just because people, what the fuck? What was that? You know what I mean? That's not a blow-off. If they blew it off with the match on the Raw before SummerSlam, that would be a different story, but they didn't. They hinted at the feud continuing, so it makes the most sense to me just to continue doing Reigns and Rusev going to Clash of Champions for the championship. At Darnell Friedman, don't you think that WWE should get rid of all those match-themed pay-per-views? They should. Put Money in the Bank, as great as that show is, that's really the only exception to the themed pay-per-views that are almost always good. But put that back at WrestleMania. Put the Money in the Bank ladder match back at WrestleMania. Get rid of Hell in a Cell is the worst. It's almost never really that good. And it serves no purpose. It's that time of the year again. It's October. Let's do Hell in a Cell. Like, no. Bring it back when it fucking means something. I was so glad when they got rid of the Chamber, just because for the last 5 installments, people always retain their titles. It was so bad that people always retain their championships inside that Chamber. 1 in 6 chance of the champion retaining it. Yet for 5 straight years, the champion always retained their title because it took place before WrestleMania. Okay. Anyway, so I'm glad they did away with that. TLC should be next. And not only that, though, but I feel like, okay, if Raw gets TLC, that means SmackDown doesn't get a TLC match. That's kind of fucked up in my opinion, so I don't know. But yeah, I would get rid of those match-themed pay-per-view. They should have gotten rid of them years ago, because I've talked about this before, but the only real purpose they served in the beginning was to boost buy rates, but they didn't boost buy rates. They decreased. They continue to decrease anyway, and they're on the network, so what the fuck is the point? At Scarlet 1, is it thematically funny how Sami Zayn beat Kevin Owens in their final match, but KO still has much more success? It is funny. That's just the way the WWE works. It's like when Bray Wyatt beat Ryback clean at Payback about a year and a half ago. He beat him clean as a sheet at Payback. Yet 2 weeks later, who's in the Elimination Chamber match for the IC Championship? Ryback, the loser. Who becomes the next Intercontinental Champion? The loser, Ryback. You know what I mean? Like, it made no fucking sense. When he beat Daniel Bryan, who beat Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble 2014? Bray Wyatt. Who was in the world title match at WrestleMania? Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucked up. So that's the way the WWE works. It makes no sense, but it would not be the first time that they have this ass-backwards booking. Their second question: least favorite WWE babyface moment example, Triple H assaulting London and Kendrick in '07 for trying to help him. Yeah, I just watched that episode of Raw. My review of it is up on the website, nextwrestling.net, obviously, if you want to check it out. The September 17th, '07 edition of Raw. What the fuck? Triple H beats Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch in a 2-on-1 handicap match, which, as if that's not bad enough, which they're, by the way, they're the tag team champions, as if that's not bad enough, London and Kendrick, who were at that time feuding with Cade and Murdoch, come out to save Triple H, and he assaults them anyway. Like, what the fuck is up with that? They never explain why. And he like kind of he laughs like, oh, that was funny. Like, no, it's not funny. You just bury two of your own baby faces on your roster. So stupid. Anyway, other than that moment, my least favorite babyface moments would have to be anything that Roman Reigns has done in the last 8 months. The guy is not a good babyface at all. He comes off like the biggest asshole in the world. Beyond that, John Cena had a couple asshole babyface moments, specifically when he would always call Vicky like the names. I think it might have been not the last episode of Raw in 2010. I think it was the penultimate episode of the year. And Ziggler and Vicky were in the ring, and Cena would not stop making jokes at Vicky's expense. It's like, okay, so you're pushing this whole be a star campaign. You're having your top babyface make fun of an overweight woman for absolutely no reason. That makes sense, I guess. Thank God he's not doing that anymore, but that was terrible babyface. That was a terrible babyface moment. I'm sure there's many more, but that stands out above them all for me anyway, in the time that I've been a fan, since '08. Thoughts on Dean Ambrose's offense? I've been seeing a lot of criticism over his moves are looking hokey and feeble. Talked about this earlier, but his offense, not that it's not believable, but it's not exciting, and he does have it within him to have a great match when he's motivated, but he just does not feel motivated right now. He feels like he's just treading water. He feels like he's on autopilot, so maybe turning heel would be the answer, I don't know, but yeah, his offense is a bit stale at the moment, definitely. Could Ty Dillinger be the next NXT champion? It is worth noting that Nakamura is the 9th title holder right now. I'm such an idiot, because when I first read that question an hour ago, when I put these questions together, I'm thinking, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, oh, fuck, 10! That would be perfect. How amazing would it be if Dillinger, after Nakamura already beat Joe, Aries, Zayn, and Balor, that Dillinger is the one to finally beat Nakamura in his native Canada for the NXT Championship? Could you imagine the fucking pop that this kid would get? That if he became champion by beating Nakamura in Canada, to become the 10th NXT champion, that would be incredible. Do I see it happening? Absolutely not. But anyway, that's fantasy booking at its finest. No, I don't see Dillinger becoming the next NXT champion. He should be. He's not going to be, but he won't be, unfortunately. Although that moment writes itself, the 10th NXT champion in Canada, beating Nakamura, that would be amazing. I just don't see it happening. Next question, final question. Should Bayley win the Women's Championship before Sasha Banks comes back? No. I've said this before, but I would hold off until WrestleMania. Yes, WrestleMania at the earliest to put the belt on Bayley. Now, knowing WWE, they'll probably put the belt on her as soon as Clash, as soon as Hell in a Cell, just because they can't fucking wait and they can't long-term book to save their lives. More often than not, anyway. but there's no real reason to put the championship on her right now. She's going to be over regardless. She's a great character. She's an awesome wrestler. But the real benefit of the Bayley character is that she wins when she loses. A lot like Sami Zayn, it took her 2 years before she finally won the NXT championship. So why the hell would you ever win the championship in a matter of a month when she arrives in the main roster? That would be so stupid. So, again, I don't know when Banks is coming back, presumably in time for Hell in a Cell, or at the latest, the Survivor Series pay-per-view. But, yeah, I would not put the belt. I would have her beat Banks to the belt. That's what I would do at WrestleMania, kind of, mirror that whole takeover match from last year. I would love to see her beat Banks to the belt at WrestleMania in Florida, so that's what I would do. And that does it, guys. That does it for hashtag AskGSM for September 5th, 2016, the Labor Day edition, the Labor Day episode. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your holiday / Monday, whatever, and getting amped for Raw tonight. As always, thank you for sending in your amazing questions. And let's see, what time are we clocking in here? An hour and almost 20 minutes. Holy shit. I can promise you this right now. The episodes will probably more than likely not be this long in the future. So just to let you know right now, just because I do start classes on Wednesday. So next Monday, it's back to normal. I don't know whether the episodes are going to be a half hour, 40 minutes. I have no idea. Only time will tell. But I do appreciate you guys sending all the questions this week and doing one final long-term episode until at least, I don't know, it's going to be a while. I'm not going to be home for a while, or at least until my next day off, which is probably, you know what? This is perfect. Because I think the next time I have classes off on a Monday, the next time I have a day off on a Monday, will be Columbus Day. Which, if my math is correct, this is episode 145 of hashtag AskGSM, which is 5 weeks away. And I think in 5 weeks, it's Columbus Day here in the States. Which means I have that day off, and it'll be episode 150. So 150 will be the next long-term episode that we will do here on the show, which is fucking great. And I think we did episode 100 of the show. I'm pretty sure we did episode 100 on Columbus Day last year too, which is pretty great. So I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Can't wait for that episode and next week's episode, let alone that episode, But anyway, in the meantime and in between time, of course, before Columbus Day, send in questions for next week's show by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Don't forget the hashtag AskGSM. Like I said with the dilemma earlier, be sure to not only include the hashtag, but also be sure to tweet me at WrestleRant. Include my handle, your question, and the user in the hashtag, the question, and my username. And you're obviously everything you want to ask for next week's edition. Facebook as well. If you don't have a Twitter machine, you can also find me on Facebook at Graham GSM Matthews, facebook.com/GrahamGSM.Matthews. Fuck, let's do that over again. Facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. You can leave a comment on the post itself that I put, usually, hopefully, sometimes, put up on Sunday nights, or on the wall itself. And also right here in this very video, if you're too lazy to go to the links to the Twitter, to Facebook, to whatever else, just scroll on down below and drop a question right there. I will include it in next week's edition for you guys. So, as always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support is amazingly appreciated. I look forward to an exciting fall season in WWE, hopefully. The past couple fall seasons have been absolutely awful, so I'm hoping this year is the exception. And on the road to 1K here on the YouTube channel, which I don't think we're going to hit before the end of the year. Boo! But it would be great if we did. So be sure to spread the word about the show, about the channel, about everything else that is the GSM brand. And I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your Labor Day. Enjoy Raw tonight. Have an amazing week. And I'll catch you folks down the road.